If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. That is from the song Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson. And I was thinking about that earlier. A lot of times we try to change the world. We try to change what goes on. We try to change what people say about us. We try to change what's happening. But rarely do we look at ourselves and say, if I want to make the world, which is my outside circumstances, my health, my money, the people I'm around, my relationships, my habits, whatever, if I want to make the world a better place, I got to take a look at myself and make a change. I got to be honest enough with myself to look at myself and do what is necessary. But before I start taking these actions, I have to sit still and just look around. This is my life. This is where I am. This is my bank account. This is the person I'm dating. This is where I live. This is my grades. This is my life. Somehow, some way, I caused this. Somehow, some way, I picked that person to date. I did or did not do things that led to this grade. I eat a certain way. I have these certain habits. I don't sleep enough or I sleep too much. This is my life. I gotta be honest, I caused this. And if I want to make the world a better place, I have to take a look at myself and make a change. I can't keep blaming everyone else. For a long time in my life, I used to blame people. I used to blame family for how they treated me. I used to blame people from when I was a kid. I used to blame a lot of things. But the reason why my life is how it is, the reason why I'm now 20 years old, I'm a public speaker, I'm inspiring people, I do one-on-one coaching calls with people, I write books. The reason why my life is this way is because I was honest enough to look at myself and make a change. I was honest enough to look in the mirror, quite literally, and say, this is where I am. This is where I put myself. I can't blame nobody else. I can't keep pointing the finger. I can't keep saying that it's someone else's fault. I have to look at myself and say, I did this. I put myself in this position. And because I was the one who put myself in this position, I'm the one who's gonna get myself out. You know, it's a really beautiful statement to make that this is my fault. You know, you don't want to blame yourself for stuff that genuinely isn't your fault. Like, if you were born in a certain home environment, that's not your fault. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about stuff that is within our control, like our grades. That's within your control. You did or did not do things that led to that grade. So, because you put yourself in that position, you can get yourself out. You know, people say things like, Lawrence, I'm just lazy. Lawrence, I just can't. I just have these habits. I just can't stop. That's a powerful thing. That's great news. How in the world is me being lazy great news? Because if the problem is you're lazy, then when you stop being lazy, the problem's solved. You know, I know that might sound a little backwards, but that's how it works. When we stop being the problem, by default, we are the solution. Our thoughts, actions, and behaviors have got us where we are, so by changing our thoughts, actions, and behaviors, we change our world. It's such a powerful thing when you comprehend this. You know, Lawrence, I'm really out of shape. I'm failing all my classes. I'm in a relationship where they keep disrespecting me. This is great news because when we change the belief that I don't deserve this, I'm better than this relationship. I am good enough to be able to pass my classes. I am capable of getting up and going to the gym even if I might feel a little uncomfortable, even if I might feel like people might judge me, even if I have these worries, I'm capable, I'm able to start. This is beautiful because by changing ourselves, not changing who we pretend to be, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying by changing the way we see ourselves, by changing the way we talk about ourselves, by changing our behaviors and actions, we create the world we want. By looking in the mirror and seeing ourselves and owning up to it, taking accountability for the fact that this is where I am. Not pointing the finger and saying, oh, well, I'm this way because XYZ person did this. I'm this way because XYZ happened. I'm this way because this thing and that thing and this thing and that thing. And obviously, there's exceptions. Like, if you were born without legs or you had something like ultra traumatic happen to you, I'm not saying that you blame yourself because that happened to you. Obviously not. What I'm saying is that we say to ourselves that, okay, this situation happened. I was born a certain way. I come from a certain environment. I grew up a certain way. These things happen. These are real. That stuff happened. That stuff is painful. However, I'm capable of getting myself out. I'm capable of figuring something out. Yes, it might be difficult. Yes, it might be really challenging to go from 500 pounds. I'm just throwing out a crazy example. It might be really hard to go from like 500 pounds to 200. It might be really difficult to do it, but it's possible. It has been done. It might be really difficult to improve your grade from an F- to an A, but it's possible. It has been done. It might be difficult to go from a really bad neighborhood, really tough childhood, really traumatic upbringing to becoming a successful multi-millionaire business owner or a doctor or a lawyer or a plumber if that's what you want to be. It might be really difficult, but it's possible because people have done it. And you know, we can hear things like, oh, well, you know, 95% of businesses fail. Only a certain percent of people ever become millionaires. Only a certain group ever does this. Or, you know, if you didn't go to college or this or that, then you're less likely to be successful. Yeah, those are statistics, but instead of focusing on the 95% who fail, how about instead we figure out, what are the people who are winning? What are they doing? The people who do go from 500 pounds to 200, what are they doing? The people who do become millionaires, what are they doing? The people who do succeed, what are they doing? The people who do go from an F- to an A, what are they doing? Where are they hanging out? What do they talk about? What do they listen to? What kind of food do they eat? Like, what do they do? And the more specific you can get with it, the better. You know, I remember when I first wanted to become a public speaker, I saw all these things about, well, you know, you have to dress a certain way, you have to talk a certain way, you have to do this, you have to do that. And some of it was good advice, but a lot of it, I was like, that's not how I want to do it. Not out of like arrogance of me saying that, oh, I know what's best. No, it was just, I tried it and I was like, this is fake. Like, this feels fake. This is inauthentic. I don't feel this. Like, I'm trying to, you know, make myself into what the world wants rather than just doing it. Like, rather than just putting my stuff out there, doing it the way I do it. And I had to, again, take a look at myself and say, all right, yeah, the world might say this, people might say that, my upbringing might say this, statistics might say this, but I'm not going to be a statistic. I'm going to be me. I'm not going to be a statistic of people who fail. I'm going to be a statistic of people who succeed. I'm not going to be a statistic of, well, you know, if no one in your family was a millionaire, you won't be. I'm going to be the statistic that says some people are. Instead of being a statistic that says because you're a black man in Philadelphia, you're going to end up a criminal. I'm going to be a statistic that says, well, I'm not. I'm going to be who I want to be. And you have the power to do that. It may be difficult, don't get me wrong, because I understand. I did not come from a family of public speakers or business owners or millionaires. I'm not a millionaire yet, but I'm about to be. I'm gonna make it happen one of these days. I didn't come from a family of people who were like super college educated. I didn't come from a family of people who were like ultra well off. Now, don't get me wrong, we were never like poor or anything, but we weren't like walking around on mega yachts or anything like that. I didn't come from that. I came from a pretty, you know, standard home environment, pretty standard upbringing. And I realized that, yes, statistics might say that I'm not going to make it. Statistics might say that. But instead of looking at what Harvard or Yale or whoever got to say about me, I'm going to look at what is Lawrence going to say about Lawrence. Well, Lawrence going to say he's going to make it happen. Listen to that. Instead of listening to the people, places, and things that tell you that you can't, you have to say, I can. And it might be hard to believe it at first. You know, I remember when I was having a lot of challenges with my mental health, it was hard to just get out of bed. It was hard to just brush my teeth. It was hard to do the most basic things. But little by little by little, I said, all right, this is where I am. This is where I got myself. My room is dirty. I'm failing my classes. This is my life. I ain't brushed my teeth in like 6 days. This is my life. That's my life. However, if this is where I got myself, then all I gotta do is change something in me in order to change this stuff out here. Because we chase the solution so much outside of ourselves. We think that, oh, once I read this certain book, or I listen to this certain podcast, or I get this certain mentor, or I get this certain thing, then my life is gonna change. But you gotta make the change in yourself first. Because, listen, mentorship is good. I have some. Listening to podcasts, reading books, I write books, I make podcasts. So I'm not saying that those things are bad. You can get wisdom in those, you can get knowledge, you can learn things from those. But the biggest change happens when you change yourself, when you change the man or woman person in the mirror, and then you're gonna change the world. You're gonna change your world. You might change your community, you might change your home, you might change your environment. You could become the person that other people go, dang, if he did it, I could do it. If she did it, I could do it. If they did it, I could do it. There's this YouTuber I really like. His name is Jermaine Watts. And he talks about like changing your life by changing your mind. Like the similar stuff to what I talk about. He is a gang member, well, he is an ex-gang member from South Central LA. He grew up, his mom was an addict, like all the people in his family except his grandma were addicts. He was in and out of prison since the age of like 14, went to like 10 different prisons, he became an addict too. Like, he had a crazy life, but he changed his life by changing his mind. He got help. He said, hey, this is where I am. I'm on Skid Row, I'm in and out of prison, this is my life. I gotta change. And I gotta do what's necessary. I gotta change my thoughts, I gotta change who I'm around, I gotta change what I do. He covered up all of his gang tattoos and like changed his life. He is a radically different man from who he used to be. And that's a beautiful thing because we can look at people like that and say, you know, if a child of addicts, ex-gang member, Skid Row, addict, if he could change his life, so can I. We could look at people like, you know, throughout history, like Rosa Parks and Harriet Tubman and Amelia Earhart and all these people and say, well, you know, maybe you're a woman watching this, right? You know, actually like 50% of my audience are. So maybe you're a woman watching this and you're thinking like, well, you know, it's hard for me because I'm a woman or I'm a black woman or I'm a, you know, woman from a poor background. You can look throughout history and see examples of women who did it. You know, and it might be difficult. Obviously, I don't know from personal experience, but from what I've observed, it's possible. Yeah, it might be difficult, it might be different for you, but it's possible. Maybe you are a black man and you're saying, well, you know, it's hard for me because I'm a black man. Well, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Fred Hampton, let me think of some other good examples. Frederick Douglass, they're black men. Barack Obama, that's a black man. Football players, musicians, athletes, basketball players, all these people, they're black men. And they succeeded, so can you. Yeah, it might be difficult, it might be different, it might be challenging, but by changing our mind and saying, yeah, statistics say this, but I'm going to be the statistic of people who succeed. By changing the man in the mirror, by changing the man in your mind, you change your life. Yeah, now another example, right? Maybe you have like a medical condition. I met this lady, her name is Amberly Largo. She had this thing called complex regional pain syndrome. It's described as like the worst, most painful nerve condition that exists. It's like having acid shot through your body while being lit on fire. And she's a motivational speaker, married, children, happy family, loves going to the gym. Despite having a insanely painful medical condition that cannot be cured. She didn't let that stop her. You know, all the people that we hear about in Black History Month, they didn't let racism, they didn't let government persecution, they didn't let laws, they didn't let having crosses burned in their front yard, they didn't let that stop them. We could look at people who from all backgrounds, a lot of like Asian immigrants, like Cambodia, Vietnam, China, Laos, Korea, like all throughout there. A lot of the time when they immigrated to America, it was to escape a war. So they did not allow war. They didn't allow having to learn a new language. They didn't allow, and mind you, they were coming here during a time where like racism against Asian people was like at an all-time high. They didn't let racism, they didn't let none of that stop them. And a lot of them are thriving. They are living beautiful lives. They are having happy family dynamics. You know, obviously I don't live with them, but from what I've observed, having dated people who were the children of Asian immigrants, they're thriving. They're doing pretty darn good for themselves, especially when you look back and compare it to growing up in war zones. We can look at people from all walks of life, all dynamics, all challenges, all situations, and we can say if they did it, I could do it too. If they were able to change their life by changing the person in the mirror, I can too. If they were able to make it happen, I can too. And with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go out there, be the change you want to see in the world. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to purchase my books or get one-on-one coaching, you can find those below. As well as if you're a podcast host, school principal, or run a youth organization, and you're looking for speakers, you can contact me at lawrence@lawrenceharris.com. Have a good one.